Welcome back to the Money and Wealth Show. I'm Sterling Fox. Our special guest this week is the chairman of Casey Research, Doug Casey, who, by the way, will be a featured presenter at the Howe Street Money Expo shows in Kelowna and Kamloops on September 18th and 19th, respectively. And we're looking forward to your presentation at that time. Mr. Casey, you're a provocative guy who provokes those of us who hear and see you to think. And you can check out the website, dougcasey.com. Lots to think about and read about on that particular site. Let's bring this conversation home to North America. Doug, we've talked about Asia and Europe before that. You've started talking about the US dollar, which is still enjoying, as we speak here in mid-July, a fairly comfortable ride. People are, in these times of uncertainty, still seeking what they perceive as the security and safety of the American dollar. How long is that going to last?
Not very long, I don't think. And no matter how long it does last, it's going to at least gradually lose value. If it doesn't lose value catastrophically, I think that instead of keeping your savings in US dollars, if that's where you're keeping them, I think you ought to consider gold. But I say that with a caveat. The problem here in the eye of the hurricane where we are is that there really are no values in the world. Nothing in the world is cheap. Not stocks, not bonds, not real estate. And I've got to say, not even gold at this point, because we have to remember gold is now $1,200 an ounce. It's no longer $300 an ounce.
Right.
So it's not like a screaming bargain. But I suggest that people look at gold and buy gold because it is the only financial asset that's not simultaneously somebody else's liability. I think that the world is going to reorient towards using gold as a numeraire, as a medium of exchange and a store of value. And I think it's probably going to triple in real terms.
Well, the glib comeback to that suggestion, Doug, and you've heard it 1,000 times, is, well, you can't buy groceries with gold.
No, and you can't buy gold with groceries, and you can't buy an automobile with raw steel. I mean, that is just a glib and foolish answer. Historically, over all of history, gold has been used as money. Why? Because of the 92 naturally occurring elements. It's best suited for use as money, just as steel is best used for making knives and buildings and aluminum for airplanes. Why? Gold has 5 unique characteristics that Aristotle actually defined in the 4th century BC. It's durable, it's divisible, it's convenient, it's consistent, and it has value in and of itself. It's one of the 92 elements and unique in that way. So I think that it's likely to be used again as money.
At which point, then, do you see, and again, your perspective on the world right now is from what you determine to be the eye of the hurricane, this financial malaise that has overcome the planet, and it's far from over from your perspective.
We're only in the second inning of this ball
When then
game.
might we see these strange sounding predictions of $3,000 to $4,000 an ounce gold begin to materialize, if indeed ever?
I think that the bull market, the most recent leg of the bull market in gold, which started in 2000, 2001, from about the 250, 260 level in there, is still quite intact. There have been ups and downs along the way, but there's no sign of it peaking. The public is not interested in gold at this point.
Right.
It's not really in the news very often. I think that we're going to start emerging from the eye of the hurricane into the really serious second stage, perhaps by the end of this year. And I think the price of gold is going to keep going, and it's going to go up out of fear of financial collapse and all the problems in the world. And at some point, it's going to go up because of greed, but all the while, it's going to go up because prudent people are putting their wealth into something that won't dry up and blow away. And I might point out that that's even including some governments at this point. The Russian government buys significant gold every month. The Chinese are doing the same.
I've
The
heard that
Indians
about
are doing
China.
the same.
Okay.
And lots of other governments. It's only It's only these stupid European and North American governments that are still on the sell side.
Do the prospects of investing that have frightened so many people out of the game in recent months appear to be returning to the horizon, to the radar screen anytime soon? You're talking about a great period still of negativity, for lack of a better word, ahead. Where do investors go?
Well, that is a problem. There are no bargains right now. So the smartest thing to do, I think, is to conserve your assets, significantly cut back your standard of living, try to produce more than you consume. And the time to get back into the stock market and the bond market and the real estate market are when people don't even want to hear about the fact they exist. They'll be so sick and tired and beaten up by them that you'll be able to buy solid growth stocks for 10%, 15% current dividend yields, and people won't even be interested because they'll be so shell-shocked. I think the time is going to come when you're going to be able to buy lots of real estate for back taxes alone. It's amazing to me. People are buying bonds now with yields of 3 or 4%.
Correct.
They didn't want bonds back in the early 80s when they were yielding 12 and 15%. It's absolutely perverse. So no, now's not the time to do anything. But I'll give you one very interesting bright side, and that's the fact that with the governments of the world creating these trillions of dollars of currency units, they're going to ignite other bubbles. And I suspect one of the bubbles might be in resource stocks, gold stocks in particular.
All right. Doug, we're fresh out of time, and I regret that only because you're such an interesting guy to speak to. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thanks,
It's been a real pleasure having you on the program. And we'll be right back.
Good afternoon. My name is Larry Ray. I'm the chairman and CEO of Molycorp Gold Corp. As the name states, we do have a deposit we're developing in British Columbia, which is a pure molybdenum deposit. But our focus these days is on magnesium in Nevada. Through serendipity, we discovered a large deposit of magnesium running about 10% with a high purity and consists of about 256 million tonnes at this time, 52 billion pounds. Our main emphasis is to move this project forward by beginning a drill program later this year in which we can increase the integrity of the resources into the indicated and inferred, as well as increase the resource itself. For further information, please visit our website at molycorp.com or phone us at 604-531-9639.
Tax Tips with David Ingram.
Entertainment expenses. You're in business, or you're a commissioned salesman, or you're just an employee that entertains clients for your business. You have to make sure that you keep the receipts. And keeping the credit card version is not what you want to keep. You want an actual receipt. So when the Chinese restaurant or the Italian restaurant or the Mongolian grill comes along and gives you your credit card receipt, you make sure you keep the actual receipt, or you'll get turned down in the courtroom if you even appeal it. Judges say you got to have the receipt. The tax office says you have to have the receipt. Everybody says you have to have the receipt. One of the reasons that they do that is it got quite common for a couple guys to go for lunch. I take the receipt. You pay it with your credit card bill. It was a double expense. Keep the receipt. That's a tax tip.
And that's our program for this week. Our thanks to David Ingram and to our special guest, Doug Casey. And thank you for joining us. If you have some thoughts about today's show that you'd like to share with us, please send them along to comments@themoneyandwealthshow.com. I'm Sterling Fox. See you next time.